Greetings, I am Toglin, Hell's Harlequin, but you may call me Tog. The lovely and charming Miss Misa just recently did a video on borderlines and their monstrous reputations. It was actually a request of mine for her to cover this particular topic because I was getting tired of handling all the backlash on my own. I will link her video down in the description because this video is sort of a response to that video. I don't disagree with anything she said in that video, but I found there are some points that could probably use further explanation. Early on in her video, she compares borderline and schizophrenia because of their false perceptions. That's quite interesting because borderline was actually named borderline because early experts believed that you were on the border between neurosis and psychosis. We now know that borderlines are not at all psychotic. If you're wondering what the clinical definition of psychosis is, it's someone who suffers from either audio or visual hallucinations. Because of that, they have a hard time discerning what is real and what is not. When a borderline describes a negative voice inside their head, it is not an audio hallucination. It is something that they are very aware is their own thoughts bombarding them. So in that way, it's more similar to paranoid personality disorder than it is schizophrenia. Now, something else I would like to address is borderline and manipulative behavior. First, we must understand the basic premise of a borderline relationship. I've heard it joked, even among borderlines, that a borderline relationship goes like this: I love you, I hate you, no wait, don't leave me, I need you. You see, that's all part of a borderline switching between idealization to devaluation. And it doesn't go idealization, then we devalue you. That's more similar to a narcissist. It actually switches back and forth constantly, like a roller coaster ride. You might be thinking this sounds a lot like bipolar. Well, one of the biggest differences between bipolar and borderline is a bipolar's mood shifts will happen regardless of outside stimuli. As I've described in an earlier video, it could be the best day of a bipolar's life and they are extremely depressed, or they could have just lost their job and they're still rather upbeat. It just depends on their episodes whether they're manic or depressed. Bipolars switch between mania and depression, and usually their mood shifts happen for days if not weeks on end. While a borderline's quite a bit different. Their mood shifts are more of an overreaction to outside stimuli. Something that might make somebody smirk a little bit might make a borderline just laugh hysterically. And something that might bring someone a little bit down can make a borderline overly depressed or send them into a rage. Now, back on the subject of manipulation. A common thing for borderlines to do, because of their dependency issues, is threaten to commit suicide if someone says they're going to leave them. One thing that might be surprising is this sort of behavior might not even be intentionally manipulative. I used to have an ex-boyfriend without borderline who would make that type of threat all the time, and I understand it's very emotionally damaging living with that type of person. However, with a borderline, their motivations might be a little bit different than pure manipulation. Manipulation requires you to think ahead and understand what you're doing. For most borderlines, they lack impulse control, and they get very overwhelmed and have severe abandonment issues. So when you threaten to leave them, for them it feels almost like their life is over. So they might be saying that they're going to commit suicide because they're being hyperbolic or because they legitimately feel that way in that particular moment. They might get over it in a few hours. However, they don't even think about the consequences of telling you these sorts of things. Now, have I ever engaged in that sort of behavior? No. And my reason is because you can either count me as lucky or unlucky. I have another psychological problem, and that's I suffer from severe dissociation. So if a point of stress gets me to the point of breaking, I completely dissociate from my situation, meaning nothing feels real, so I'm completely detached. Anyway, these are my thoughts and I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I wish all of you a pleasant rest of your day.